Rodri, Jules, I'm in Istanbul. I just witnessed this all live. The 2022-2023 Champions League to prove it. Here's my credential.
Nice.
Anyway, let's break down these groups. So we do this? Jules, Group A, Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, and Rangers. This is a pretty tight group, I think. Liverpool perhaps ahead, but looking rough, Jules.
Yeah, and I think you just needed to look at Edwin van der Sar's face when Liverpool was drawn first and then Napoli. Liverpool was the team in pot 2 that no one wanted to face. They got them. Then Napoli was the team with Inter, I guess, in pot 3 that no one wanted, and Ajax got them as well. Okay, then you've got Rangers. It's great for the atmosphere, but they're not very good, although they can, I guess, defend well and maybe cause an upset or two. But this is like a mini group of depth for me. And remember the last time that Napoli and Liverpool were in the same group, it took Alisson to make that huge save over Milik in the last minute of that game at Anfield to qualify them. Otherwise, things could have been very, very different. So, yeah, this is one group that really, really is quite fascinating.
Rodri, there's a very big maritime theme to this group. In fact, I think we should convince our bosses to maybe rent us a yacht or something and go from Glasgow along the shipping canal down to Liverpool, down to Naples, and then of course actually back round up to Amsterdam. You on board with Jules? Is it a case of Liverpool favorites and then a bit of a toss-up between Ajax and Napoli with Rangers as a wild card? Is that how you see it?
Yeah, kind of like that. But if I were a Liverpool supporter, I would be a little bit worried about the way Liverpool started this season. And I know that all of you would say, okay, Liverpool didn't start the season very well, but we're talking about Champions League and it's not something that is going to be played this next week. But Liverpool is going to face Ajax, is going to face Naples, Rangers. Those are the kind of teams that maybe doesn't have the names that Man City or Real Madrid or Barcelona or Chelsea would have, but they have, I mean, good squads, and they prove that in the Champions League they are really dangerous. I do agree with Jules that Liverpool should go through as in the first place, but look out just in case. Don't get that self-confidence of the big teams in these kind of group stages, because Ajax and Naples, I think both of them are really, really dangerous, and Rangers, are like, the kind of team that could make you fail in a bad day.
I can't accept you saying Napoli don't have names when, of course, they have Kvaratskhelia, and Kvaratskhelia has already begun, and that is a very long and very complicated name. So they definitely have at least one name. But no, I completely agree with your assessment. When we talk of Ajax, is it still Ajax when they've lost so many players this summer? That would be a question. One other hurdle for Liverpool, and I agree with you, Roger, about the tough start. Also, is the fact that when Scottish teams play English teams, it can turn into a big cluster mess. We've seen this before over the years in Europe. A lot of predictions go out the table. And I think there's also, for historical, sociological reasons as well, there's a bit of an edge to Rangers and Liverpool as well. So I think all to play for there. Let's move on to Group B. Porto, Atletico de Madrid, which already feels very familiar. Bayer Leverkusen with our boy Rico Suave, and Bruges. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at this and I don't feel good about Bayer Leverkusen, Jules. I feel very good about Bruges. And I'm assuming, we could have a situation where we talk of Big Five, but we could have a situation here where the German and the Spanish team go out. Am I wrong? Am I getting overexcited here?
You're a bit optimistic. I mean, Club Brugge have lost Charles de Ketelaere to Milan, who's been their best player. They could potentially lose Hans Vanaken to West Ham, who's their captain and the second best player probably. And halfway through last season, they lost their coach that took them that high and that far, and Philippe Clement, who went to Monaco. So it's a very different Club Brugge team, maybe that drew with PSG last season, for example, in the group stages. I think they will be the outsider, and they will play with zero pressure and go for it. I still think that the other three should be ahead of them. I'm not too convinced about Bayer Leverkusen, especially the Bayer that we've seen this season so far was dreadful and bottom of the Bundesliga. And Porto and Atletico, like you said, so feisty last season, wasn't it? They were fight on the touchline, Sergio Conceição and Simeone and all of that. I can't wait for more. I like this group. It's not a very good group, but I don't know. There's something I like about it. It's going to be feisty. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be like, it could be good. Could be good.
Rodri, on paper, Atleti should be very, very happy here. And also because they get to get a little bit of, a rematch with Porto, which I think is always nice for them. But should they be a bit careful here of some of the pitfalls, or do you think ultimately Cholo will be fine? He knows how to do this.
Well, Atletico Madrid should go through as the first one in the group, as a leader in this group. Even I got a message at WhatsApp half an hour ago from a guy who plays for Atletico Madrid, and he says, it's a nice group. So if they are confident, I do believe that Atletico Madrid should be the leader of this group, because I understand that Porto, you're gonna fight for the lead with Porto, but come on, you're Atletico Madrid. You have Morata, you have Antoine Griezmann, you have Joao Felix, Ferreira. I mean, you get so many good players up front, and if you combine these with the midfield, and if you get back with some people that are injured on defense, I think Atletico Madrid should be a little bit better than last season. So that's why I think Atletico Madrid should go through as the first one, with Porto second, and then Bayern, Brugge. I don't really trust in them, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you with that overall assessment. I think it is Atleti and Porto all the way. Our Rico Suave would need to turn things around very, very quickly. Let's go on to Group C, which I think is pretty much box office.
My God.
Bayern Munich, Barcelona, so obviously Lewandowski's homecoming. We're going to use the word homecoming, I think, a lot in this draw. Inter and it's Viktoria Plzen.
Yeah,
I don't want to be disrespectful to
matter
Viktoria Plzen.
Yeah.
So I'll let you be disrespectful to Viktoria Plzen, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, they may as well not turn up. I'm only kidding. I know they might get a draw somewhere, and I know I'm going to get abused. But yeah, let's be honest here. It's all about the big three. And you knew it was written somewhere that Lewandowski would go back to Bayern in this group stage. You knew that was coming, obviously, on the back of the famous final eight. I was going to say defeat, not even defeat, abomination or humiliation from Bayern to Barcelona. His time has gone. It's different managers on the bench. It's a lot of different things, different players too. But this one is going to be tasty, that's for sure.
Rodri, I want to avoid talking about Barcelona's finances because I think we've done this so much. But there's a scenario where if Inter play Barcelona and Lukaku goes and just flattens Eric Garcia, turning him into a little puddle of oil, they drop points there. I'm sorry, I find it hard to see them, getting the best decisively over Bayern. I think it very ugly very quickly for Xavi, no?
You're facing the president of Eric Garcia fan club here in Spain. Yes, I am a defender of Eric Garcia because I do believe in him. And if Guardiola, Luis Enrique, Koeman, and now Xavi trust in him, it's just because of something that we don't see, but it's just because of something. So if Lukaku faces Eric Garcia is going to win for sure. But the problem for Barca, or for Barca's defense, is that you're not only going to face Lukaku, you're going to face Lukaku and you're going to face Lautaro as well. I think both are two of the best strikers in Europe, and I think it's going to be really tough for Barca and even for Bayern. And then you get Barca going back against Bayern, which I think is going to be kind of a revenge for Barca to see if they are back at the level that they think they are. I think it's a pretty interesting group. And by the way, if I were a Viktoria Plzen fan, I would be delighted because I'm going to visit Bayern München's stadium, Camp Nou, and Inter de Milan San Siro. So I would be delighted for this group stage.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of souvenir potentials in those. I don't know about you guys. I'm sure Bayern have not made it to the group stage at some point of the Champions League. I just don't remember when that happened, whereas I remember very clearly Barcelona and Inter not advancing. Yeah. So I think Bayern's through, and I think it's a toss-up between Barca and Inter for that other spot. Not necessarily the second spot, just for that other spot. Moving on to Group D, We have Eintracht Frankfurt, of course, the Europa League winners. We've got Tottenham Hotspur. Feel free to make jokes about Antonio Conte finally advancing to the knockout round.
Surely.
I'm sorry. Did you say something snarky there, Jules?
No, I just said surely. If he doesn't qualify now, he will never ever. May as well give up on football and take on netball.
Sporting Club of Portugal, and of course Marseille. Now, Sporting, I believe, is the only club that have been sort of semi-credibly linked to Cristiano at this stage. I can give you a live update. I was on the lift today with Nasser Al-Khelaifi and the sporting director of Sporting, and I asked them, so is Cristiano on his way? And unsurprisingly, he said no, because of course he would have told me definitely if Cristiano was coming. So
sure.
It's entirely irrelevant. But Sporting, as they are now, I think they're in a decent position to make a fist of it. I think this group is actually, obviously, you put Tottenham ahead, but I think this group is relatively wide open given some of the changes at Eintracht in the summer and whatnot. No.
Yeah, I think it's open. I think it's a group. It's a Europa League group. Let's be honest here. I love a lot of those clubs, but this is. Don't roll your eyes. This is Europa League football. I thought they got the wrong day. I was like, what? Is this today or is that tomorrow? Wasn't that supposed to be tomorrow?
The levels of disrespect and
no, I'm just saying. Sporting have lost Sarabia, who went back to PSG. They've lost Mateus Nunes, of course. They've lost a couple more players. They're certainly not the force they were when they won the Portuguese league, but they're still a really good team. And Ruben Amorim is still a very good coach. Frankfurt haven't started well this season, but
they lost Kostic.
They love Kostic, and they've got potential too. And then the Spurs and Conte, who are overwhelming favorite in that group and will finish top. And Conte will finally make it to the knockout stages, and it's great. And Harry Kane will have fun. All of that. And then there's my Marseille team that I really hope for French football that they can make it and finish second, because I think between Sporting, Frankfurt, and Marseille, it's pretty even on who's going to finish behind Spurs.
Will they learn to like Igor Tudor? I think that's the main question. Will it be Igor Tudor leading them? Yeah. Yeah,
it will be, but it's Alexis Sanchez as well, going back to North London for obviously Arsenal arch rival Spurs. So that should be quite an interesting return as well to London fan.
Roger, are you on board on this? Is this a Europa League group? Are you going to be so disrespectful?
Come on.
Not that respectful, but I agree with Jules, because I mean, if you see the names of this group, I mean, this is not Champions League. Maybe sometimes Tottenham and Hotspur, I do agree with that, but the rest is just like, they're like the guys who are invited to a dinner. They're not supposed to be invited. So, but anyway, I do agree that Eintracht Frankfurt is not going to be up there. I think that Sporting de Lisboa is not going to be up there. And I do believe, because I trust a lot in Olympique de Marseille. First of all, because his president is a friend of mine since we were kids, Pablo Longoria. And secondly, because I like the project that they've made this summer with Alexis Sanchez and with so many new faces. And when even they changed the coach, because the guy who was coaching last year is not at the moment on the bench. So I mean, I think it's kind of interesting seeing Olympique de Marseille if they can jump at that level again.
Rodri, Pablo Longoria is a good friend of yours. I think he might tell you in confidence why Jorge Sampaoli is no longer there. I think there's a lot of good stories there.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
I will tell you next week, maybe.
All right, moving on to Group E, we have Milan, we have Chelsea. You can leave your Rafael Leao jokes. I like to think of it more as Fikayo Tomori comes home. Salzburg and Dinamo Zagreb. On paper, we're just talking on paper. Salzburg, of course, having moved on from Adeyemi, they always make changes. They look a notch beneath Milan and Chelsea. Are we all on board with this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, losing not just Adeyemi, but also Aronson that we see at Leeds, and also
Brendan
Kamara.
Aronson,
Kamara, who went to Monaco. Even if you have, this is your business model, and and you replace them, and you've got more youngsters coming through. It's not the same, I think, and it would be very difficult for Salzburg to try to get something out there. 2 games against Chelsea and against Milan. I think they should be Dinamo Zagreb, and potentially finish third and go into the Europa League. But for Milan and Chelsea, quite similar to Juventus and Chelsea last season in the group stages as well. They were above the other two in the groups, and you would expect them both to qualify.
Roger, you're on board with that. I take it. I mean, no surprises here, despite all of Chelsea's kind of issues so far in the transfer window and all the chaos.
Unless a disaster happens, I think Chelsea is going to be the first one. And I know that Chelsea didn't start that good as they should, but AC Milan is going to be as a second for sure, because I think they are powerful, but not powerful enough to face Chelsea. Salzburg, Dinamo Zagreb, I am really sorry for these fans, but I think they're not at the level of the Champions League game, so they're going to be third and fourth.
I'd just be curious to see. I'm pretty sure Rafael Leao will be playing in Group E. I just don't know right now for which club. I think Milan fans will be hoping that it is Milan. After all, if you get Anthony Gordon, what do you need Rafael Leao for?
Exactly.
All right. Moving on to Group F. Carlo Ancelotti, of course, getting the prize for Coach of the Year here. And I think it's not the only prize he got. Real Madrid, Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Celtic. Again, on paper, if you're Carletto, you're happy, right, Jules?
Yeah, this is Real Madrid. They're really Carletto winning Manager of the Year, and deservedly so. Karim the Dream, getting best player of the season, deservedly so. And then they thought, okay, because they all turn up, let's give them an easy draw as well, because this is easy. Let's be honest. RB Leipzig, they've got Nkunku, they're still dangerous. Dominic Tedesco, your boy, is doing a really good job there. But this is not the level of Real Madrid. Neither is Shakhtar, even if Shakhtar have good memories, of course, of playing in Madrid. It was not the Bernabeu at the time, but in Madrid, certainly Valdebebas. And then for Celtic, this is Christmas anyway. So you go there and you have plenty of fun and memories. But for Real Madrid, this is, even if they usually start slowly their campaigns, this is a good draw.
Rodri, I'm not going to push you on Real Madrid. Obviously, they do start slowly. We saw last year what happened when they decided to fight the sheriff and lost. But is it just a case of who finished second? Is it just a case of, again, Celtic, that home support? Could they spring a surprise? If you're Leipzig, I think you're nervous here because on paper, Shakhtar dealing with a freaking war and people leaving. Let's not forget what's going on there. And Celtic being Celtic, on paper, you should have this. But I don't think it's by any means a foregone conclusion.
The thing is that Real Madrid, I think they learn out of some group stages of other seasons, and now I see them like like a block that doesn't have that self-confidence or overconfidence that made them fail against, for example, Shakhtar 2 years ago. So that's why I think they learn out of it and they're not gonna repeat it again. Anyway, talking about Champions League and Real Madrid, I'm not gonna predict never ever again something about or related to Real Madrid, because after what they did last season, it's just incredible, and this is something that we all agree that Real Madrid has a competition, and that competition is called Champions League. I think they should be first, but if you name me one place he could fail, I would say maybe Leipzig, because they never played against Leipzig, and I think the way Leipzig plays and the way that they have lost some good players in the past years could make Real Madrid to be overconfident against the German side. And we all know that despite the wins in the last maybe 3 years in Germany, Real Madrid never won in Germany, so maybe they could fail there.
All right, you say you don't want to predict against Real Madrid, so I'm going to ask you the question in a different way. Are we going to see Mariano Diaz and Dani Ceballos start in match day 6?
Well, maybe Dani Ceballos, yeah, maybe, because I think he wants to stay. Mariano Diaz, he wants to be earning the same money that he's earning at Real Madrid, 5 million net, which is amazing, but playing in Spain, in any La Liga team. And I find it very difficult now at the moment, but let's see in the next few days.
All right, moving on to Group G, we have Manchester City, Sevilla, Dortmund. Oh, look, another homecoming, and Copenhagen. For me, on paper, given the way the season started for Eintracht and Dortmund, and given some of the issues that I think Sevilla and Julian are going to face, even with the addition of Isco, I'm just going to go right off the top and say it. this is Man City running away with the group, and then it's a dogfight for second place. I'm assuming you're with me, Jules.
Yeah, completely. I agree with you. Again, very good draw for City. Good. They can go from strength to strength and grow into the competition. They don't have to be on the A game straight away because they would be far too good for those teams. You said Erling Haaland going back to Dortmund. This is going to be pretty special, especially in front of the yellow wall. And you would expect very good welcome from them as well with tifos and choreography and everything you want. That would be great. And then it's between Sevilla, who've been disappointing already this season, against Dortmund, who've also been disappointing this season, and then Copenhagen, maybe try to get a point there and there, and maybe fight for third place, but I don't see that coming. So really, City outside, overwhelming favorite again, and then between Sevilla and Dortmund, I'm not sure. One can't really defend, the other one can't really attack, so we can well be in for 2-0 draws, boring draws between them two as well.
It's a bit harsh there, Rodri. Sevilla have the better manager, right? Compared to Dortmund, and given
goals.
Everybody at Dortmund is injured, maybe no.
Not for me. I mean, I'm not a huge Julen Lopetegui fan because I think he did a great job in Sevilla, but he's always complaining about everything. He's always battling against so many people inside the club, and now the way he built the squad for this season, I think he did it bad. For me, because he signed Isco, which for me is not the kind of player that Sevilla likes. He got so many players out of shape, and now the thing is that he's mad because of the starting in La Liga is not the one that everyone expected. So I think the Man City is going to be leader by far, and I think Borussia Dortmund is going to be up from Sevilla for sure.
It's funny, you're criticizing Sevilla's transfer activity, and you're blaming Julen. And you're not blaming Monchi?
No, because Monchi is giving
Monchi cannot be criticized ever.
No. He could be criticized, and he has to be criticized. But the thing is that since 2 years ago, what Monchi signs is just what Lopetegui wants, because he doesn't want to fight against him. So that's why I blame Lopetegui. And I think that unless Sevilla fix this trajectory, I'm pretty sure that by the end of September, maybe Lopetegui will struggle as Sevilla manager.
Let's move on. We saved Jules's Paris Saint-Germain for last. Group H, Paris Saint-Germain, who, just going to remind you, 17 goals scored in the first 3 games. And Mbappe has actually been the worst of the front 3, despite actually scoring a hat-trick in his last game. The old guys are back, at least for now. On paper, for me, they're far ahead of Juve, Benfica, and Maccabi Haifa. And I don't know, Jules. I know you're going to be cautious about this, but if they keep this up, the level that they're at doesn't reflect well on our friend Poch, does it?
No, you're right. It doesn't. I mean, they're very happy with the draw, and they should be. Or they're maybe not very happy, but they're happy. It could have been far worse. They worry about Juve and Allegri and how solid and how difficult they can make it for PSG and Angel Di Maria going back to Paris and facing obviously his old club. Benfica, with the very, very big Portuguese community in Paris, and Benfica fans, they're always special games. And then Maccabi Haifa is a really bad memory from 15 years ago in Paris, not just because they knocked us out, but also for what happened after the game between fans and the police. But it's a group that obviously they take every single day, where, again, if they play at the level that we've seen them so far this season, they're going to boss it pretty easily. It's always a PSG Juventus. It's always a good game and a special game. And I think it'd be interesting to see Galtier against Allegri and who gets the best out of the other manager. Because let's not forget, as good as this is the first time that Christophe Galtier as a manager will play in the Champions League. So it'd be very interesting to see how he copes with the pressure, with all the expectations. But yeah, PSG in a very good position in that group.
Galtier, of course, winning the French league a couple of years ago at Lille, and his reward was not coaching Lille the following season, when of course he moved on. Juve, horrific. Allegri's under a ton of pressure right now. They've had injuries. There's the Pogba situation. Chiesa's not going to be back until the new year, obviously. Rodri, am I exaggerating in saying that it's tight between Juve and Benfica, or do you still say Juve have to be favorites? They have to embrace the fact that their history says they have to be favorites over Benfica for that other spot?
Juve is my favorite. I think not only because of tradition or history. I think they have better players than Benfica. I know Benfica, they have a nice block, and I think it's the kind of team you could face that could make you fail in a bad day. But for me, Juve, I know what why Pogba is injured, and all these guys, but I mean they have enough squad to face Benfica and to win away and home. So that's why for me it's going to be the second. And then the PSG, I find it very interesting for Galtier, because he's going to debut on Champions League, and facing this competition with these kind of players that he has is going to be very, very positive for him in the way to see his evolution as a coach. I know from my people inside the PSG locker room, I know that the Jules have even more sources up there, but I know that they are delighted and really happy with Galtier. So if they get together, coach and the squad, I think PSG can make something really, really big and really massive this year in Champions League. So Jules, the trophy is yours. Come on.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
About that.
Unless you face Real Madrid.
No, not again.
Only curveball I might throw in here is Maccabi Haifa, just in terms of, I know it's a stereotype, but I think it applies when you've got teams that are new to the Champions League, especially when it's it's a longer travel time to Israel and so on. Strange things can happen, points can be dropped, and reputations matter a little bit less. There you have it. That's our wrap. Thanks to Rodri and Jules for making this happen. Feel free to clip stuff and humiliate us when we get it all wrong come November.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN Plus.